I should have known something was wrong when the lights in my apartment started flickering last Tuesday. Not the normal kind of flicker you get from old wiring. These were different. They would go out for exactly 3 seconds, then come back on. Always 3 seconds. Always at 11:47 p.m. My name is Alex, and I live alone in a small apartment downtown. I work at the local grocery store stocking shelves during the night shift. It's quiet work, and I like it that way. I don't have many friends, and I prefer keeping to myself. The first night it happened, I thought maybe the power company was doing some kind of maintenance. The second night, I figured it was just bad luck. By the third night, I started to feel like something was watching me. I tried to ignore it. I made myself some tea and sat on my couch pretending to watch TV, but I kept glancing at the clock. 11:46 p.m., 11:47 p.m. The lights went out. 1, 2, 3. They came back on. That's when I heard the knocking. 3 slow knocks on my front door. The same rhythm as the lights. Knock, knock, knock. I sat frozen on my couch, teacup shaking in my hands. Nobody visits me this late. I waited for the knocking to stop, but it didn't. It just kept going. 3 knocks, pause, 3 knocks, pause. I walked to the door and looked through the peephole. The hallway was empty. I opened the door. The hallway was cold, much colder than it should be in the middle of summer. The knocking stopped the moment I turned the handle. I stepped out and looked left and right. Nothing. When I went back inside and locked the door, I noticed something on the floor. A small piece of paper, folded in half. My hands were shaking as I picked it up. Written in faded pencil were 3 words. He's coming back. I didn't sleep that night. I sat in my kitchen with all the lights on, staring at that piece of paper. The handwriting looked familiar, but I couldn't place it. The next morning, I called my mom. I hadn't talked to her in months, but I needed to ask her something. Hi, Mom. I have a weird question. Do you have any of Grandpa's old writing? She was quiet for a moment. Why are you asking about your grandfather, Alex? You know how I feel about talking about him? I just found something that looks like his handwriting. Your grandfather has been dead for 10 years. Whatever you found, it's not from him. And I threw away all his things after the funeral. The way she said it made me feel cold inside. My mom never talked about my grandfather. When I was little and asked about him, she would change the subject. Mom, what was wrong with him? Why don't you ever talk about him? Some things are better left buried, Alex. Don't go digging up the past. She hung up before I could ask anything else. That evening, I went to work like usual. The grocery store was quiet, just me and the security guard. I was restocking the cereal aisle when I heard footsteps behind me. Slow, deliberate footsteps. I turned around, but nobody was there. The footsteps started again. This time they were coming from the next aisle over. I grabbed a flashlight from the utility closet and followed the sound. Each aisle I checked was empty, but I could still hear the footsteps. They were always one aisle ahead of me. I was starting to feel panicked when the footsteps stopped. That's when I saw him. An old man standing at the end of the aisle. He was wearing a dark coat and had gray hair. His face was in shadow, but I could see his eyes. They were glowing yellow like a cat's eyes in the dark. Alex, he said. His voice was rough and scratchy. You look just like your mother. I dropped the flashlight. The old man stepped closer, and I could see his face more clearly. His skin was gray and wrinkled. His mouth was too wide, stretching almost to his ears, and his teeth were sharp, like needles. You don't remember me, do you? He said. I'm your grandfather. I ran. I didn't think. I just ran. Through the store, past the checkout counters, out the front door. I ran all the way home and locked my apartment door behind me. My grandfather had been dead for 10 years. I saw his body in the coffin at the funeral. This couldn't be real. I didn't go back to work the next night. I called in sick and stayed in my apartment. I closed all the curtains and turned on every light. At 11:47 p.m., the lights flickered. 1, 2, 3. Then came the knocking. 3 slow knocks on my door. This time I didn't look through the peephole. I pressed my back against the door and waited. "Alex," said a voice from the other side. "Open the door. We need to talk." It was the same scratchy voice from the grocery store. "You're not real," I whispered. "You're dead." Death is not the end, my boy. I learned that the hard way. Now open the door. No. The knocking stopped. For a moment I thought maybe he had gone away. Then I heard something that made my stomach drop. The sound of a key turning in the lock. I watched in horror as the door handle slowly turned. The door opened, and there he was. His yellow eyes were brighter now, almost like little suns. "Hello, Alex," he said, stepping into my apartment. "It's time you learned the truth about our family." I backed away from him, but there was nowhere to go. He was between me and the only exit. "What do you want?" I asked. "I want to tell you about the deal I made when you were born," he said, closing the door behind him. "The deal that kept you safe for 25 years, but now the time has come to pay what's owed." He walked to my kitchen table and sat down like he owned the place. His movements were strange, too fluid, like he was floating just above the ground. "Sit," he said, pointing to the chair across from him. I didn't want to sit, but something made me do it anyway. It was like my body wasn't under my control anymore. "When you were born," he began, "you were sick. Very sick. The doctor said you wouldn't live past your first birthday. Your mother was heartbroken." His yellow eyes never blinked. They just stared at me while he talked. I knew someone who could help. A creature that lives in the spaces between worlds. It feeds on fear and pain, but it can also grant wishes. For a price. "You're lying," I said, but my voice came out weak and shaky. "I made a deal," he continued. "The creature would heal you and let you live a normal life. In exchange, I would serve it after my death. My soul would belong to it forever." The temperature in my apartment was dropping. I could see my breath now, small white puffs in the air. "But there was a catch," he said, leaning forward. "The deal would only last until your 25th birthday. After that, you would take my place." "My birthday was last month," I whispered. "Yes," he said, grinning with those terrible teeth. "July 15th, 25 years old. The deal is complete." I tried to stand up, but I couldn't move. It was like invisible ropes were holding me to the chair. "The creature is called Malphus," he said. "It's been waiting for you. Every night since your birthday, it's been getting closer." "Why didn't Mom tell me?" I asked. "Because she doesn't know. I never told her about the deal. I let her think you got better on your own." The lights in my apartment went out completely. The only light came from his glowing yellow eyes. In the darkness, I could hear something moving, something large, breathing in the corners of the room. "Don't be afraid," my grandfather said. "Malphus isn't cruel. It just needs what it needs. And what it needs is you." I won't do it, I said. I won't make any deal with a demon. You don't have a choice, Alex. The deal was made before you could walk. You've been living on borrowed time for 25 years. I heard footsteps in the darkness, heavy, slow footsteps that shook the floor with each step. Something was coming closer. The lights came back on, but they were different now. They were red, casting everything in a bloody glow, and standing in my living room was the most terrifying thing I'd ever seen. It was tall, maybe 8 feet, with skin like burnt leather. Its arms were too long, reaching almost to the floor. Its face was like a skull with bits of rotting flesh hanging from it, and its eyes were like looking into a furnace. "This is Malthus," my grandfather said. "It's been my master for 10 years, and soon it will be yours." The creature opened its mouth and spoke. Its voice was like gravel being crushed under heavy boots. "Alex," it said, "I have been patient, but my patience has limits." "What do you want me to do?" I asked. "Serve me," it said. "Bring me what I need to grow stronger. Fear, pain, suffering. There are so many humans in this city who have never known true terror. I won't hurt innocent people." The creature laughed. It was the worst sound I'd ever heard. "Choose," Malthus said. "Serve me willingly and live. Refuse and die in agony." I looked at my grandfather. His yellow eyes showed no emotion at all. "What would I have to do?" I asked. Malthus smiled. Its teeth were black and rotting. "Simple tasks," it said. "Visit certain people in their dreams. Whisper thoughts into their minds. Help their fears grow until they consume them. And if I do this, I get to live. You get to live forever," it said, "as my servant. Never aging, never dying, never feeling pain." I had to admit, it did sound tempting. My life wasn't exactly great. I had no girlfriend, no real career, no plans for the future. "I need time to think," I said. "You have until sunrise," Malthus said. "When the sun comes up, you will give me your answer." The creature vanished along with the red lights. My apartment returned to normal. My grandfather remained sitting at the table. "I know this is hard," he said, "but it's not as bad as you think. The work becomes easier over time." "Have you been happy?" I asked him. He was quiet for a long moment. "I've been useful. I've had a purpose. That's more than I had when I was alive." I looked at the clock. It was already 2 a.m. Sunrise was only a few hours away. "Tell me more about what I would have to do," I said. My grandfather's expression grew serious. "You would visit people while they sleep, enter their dreams and plant seeds of dread. You would find their weakness and make it grow." "Show me," I said. "Show me how it works." My grandfather smiled. "Close your eyes," he said. I closed my eyes and felt a strange pulling sensation. When I opened them, I was standing in someone else's bedroom. A woman was sleeping in the bed, tossing and turning. "This is Sarah," my grandfather whispered. "She's always been afraid of drowning." My grandfather moved to the side of the bed and placed his hand near the woman's forehead. I could see a faint glow coming from his fingers. The woman's movements became more violent. "In her dream right now, she's trapped underwater," he explained. "She can see the surface, but she can't reach it." I watched the woman struggle in her sleep. Part of me felt sorry for her, but another part was fascinated. "Is this what you do every night?" I asked. "Every night for 10 years, he said. The woman suddenly woke up, gasping and clutching her throat. She looked around the room wildly, but she couldn't see us. We returned to my apartment. The sun was starting to rise outside my windows. "There's something else you should know," my grandfather said. "Once you agree to serve Malphus, you can't change your mind. Ever. What happens if I try? You'll be trapped in a state between life and death, conscious but unable to move or speak, feeling every moment of pain and fear that Malphus inflicts on others." The room was getting brighter as the sun came up. I could feel something shifting in the air. "There's something else," my grandfather said. "Something I never told your mother. Your grandmother didn't die in a car accident. I killed her." I stared at him in shock. "What?" "It was before I made the deal with Malphus. I was angry all the time, drinking too much. One night, we got into a fight. I pushed her down the stairs." "Why are you telling me this?" "Because I want you to understand what I was before Malphus. I was a killer, a drunk, a waste of space. Serving the demon gave me a purpose." The sunlight was streaming through my windows now. I could feel Malphus returning. "Time's up," my grandfather said. "What's your answer?" I thought about my life, my boring job, my empty apartment, my complete lack of anything meaningful. "I'll do it," I said. The moment the words left my mouth, everything changed. The air became thick and hot, and there was Malphus, larger now, more real. "Excellent," it said. "Welcome to my service, Alex." I felt something happening to my body. My skin was getting paler and my eyes were starting to burn. I looked at my hands and saw they were glowing with yellow light. "The transformation has begun," Malphus said. "In 3 days, you will be completely changed." Over the next 3 days, I watched my human life disappear. I stopped eating food, but I didn't feel hungry. I stopped sleeping, but I wasn't tired. On the 3rd night, Malphus returned. "It's time for your first assignment," it said. I was ready. The transformation was complete. I could feel power flowing through me. "There's a man named David who lives across town," Malphus explained. "He's been abusing his wife and children for years. Make him afraid of his own hands." This didn't sound so bad. If anything, it sounded like justice. I closed my eyes and thought, David. Suddenly, I was standing in a different bedroom. A man was sleeping alone. I moved closer and extended my hand toward his head. I reached into his dreams and changed them. Now, every time he raised his voice, his hands would start bleeding. Every time he felt anger, he would smell rotting flesh. The man started thrashing in his sleep. I could feel his fear flowing into me, warm and energizing. It was like drinking sunlight. When I returned to my apartment, Malphus was waiting. "How did it feel?" it asked. "Good," I admitted. "Really good." Over the next few weeks, I visited dozens of people in their dreams. Drug dealers, corrupt politicians, bullies, thieves. Each one received nightmares perfectly tailored to their crimes. My grandfather was right. This was better than my old life. But then Malphus gave me a different kind of assignment. "Tonight, you'll visit a woman named Lisa," it said. "She works at the animal shelter downtown." "What did she do wrong?" "Nothing," Malphus said. "She's a good person. That's exactly why I need you to visit her." I felt confused. I thought we only targeted bad people. Sometimes. But I need all kinds of fear to stay strong. The fear of good people is especially pure. I didn't like this. The woman didn't deserve nightmares. What if I refuse? Malphus's eyes blazed brighter. You know what happens if you refuse. I went to visit Lisa that night, but I couldn't bring myself to give her nightmares. She was sleeping peacefully, dreaming about puppies and kittens. Instead of creating fear, I just watched her dream. It was beautiful. When I returned, Malphus was furious. You disobeyed me, it said. She didn't deserve it. What people deserve is not your concern. The temperature dropped to freezing. Ice crystals formed on the windows. This is your only warning, Malphus said. The next night I was given another assignment. A school teacher who volunteered at homeless shelters. Another good person. I visited her apartment, but again, I couldn't go through with it. I just watched her sleep and returned home. Malphus was waiting for me. I gave you a warning, it said. I won't hurt innocent people. Find someone else to do it. There is no one else. You belong to me now. Malphus raised its hand, and I felt the most intense pain I'd ever experienced. It was like being struck by lightning while drowning in acid. This is just a taste, it said. Imagine feeling this forever. The pain stopped, but the memory remained. I'll give you one more chance, Malphus said. Tomorrow night you'll visit a family with 2 young children. You'll give the children nightmares so terrible they'll never sleep peacefully again. Children? I said. You want me to torture children? I want you to obey me. After Malphus left, I sat thinking. I couldn't hurt children. I wouldn't. But I also couldn't face eternal torment. That's when my grandfather appeared. I felt your distress, he said. There might be one other option. You could try to destroy Malphus. I laughed bitterly. How am I supposed to destroy a demon? Demons aren't invincible, he said. They can be killed, but it requires turning their own power against them. The amount of fear required would be enormous. More than one person could generate how much fear? The fear of everyone it has ever terrorized, all at once. It sounded impossible, but it also sounded like the right thing to do. I looked at the clock. It was almost time for my assignment. I have to go visit those children now, I said. Alex, please, just do what Malphus asks. Don't try to be a hero. But I had already made my decision. I found the family and stood in their hallway. I could hear soft breathing coming from 2 bedrooms, a boy and a girl, both under 10 years old. I walked to the boy's room first. He was sleeping peacefully, dreaming about playing soccer. Instead of giving him nightmares, I did something different. I reached into my own memories and pulled out every bit of fear I'd felt since meeting Malphus. I pushed all of that fear into a small ball and held it in my mind. Then I did the same in the girl's room. When I returned to my apartment, Malphus was waiting. Did you complete your assignment? It asked. No, I said. Its eyes flared with rage. Then you have chosen eternal punishment. But before it could do anything, I opened my mind and released everything I'd been carrying, the fear, the terror of my own transformation. All of it crashed into Malphus like a tidal wave. The demon screamed and began to writhe and change, its form becoming unstable. But something was wrong. Instead of being destroyed, Malphus was getting bigger. The fear was making it stronger. Foolish child, it laughed. You've only made me more powerful. I fell to my knees, exhausted. Now you will face the true punishment, Malphus said. But first, I'll destroy those children you tried to protect. That's when my grandfather stepped forward. Wait, he said to Malphus. Take me instead. Double punishment. I'll accept it along with Alex. Why would you sacrifice yourself for this disobedient child? Because he's my family, and because I've been a coward for 10 years. The demon smiled. Very well. You will both suffer together. But as Malphus raised its hand, something unexpected happened. The air began to glow with soft white light. The temperature rose from freezing to warm. That won't be necessary, said a new voice. Standing in my doorway was a woman made of pure light. She was tall and graceful, with wings that seemed to be made of liquid sunshine. Uriel, Malphus hissed, you have no power here. On the contrary, the being of light said, this young man called to me through self-sacrifice. Such acts give me the right to intervene. You cannot break my deal. I cannot, Uriel agreed, but I can offer a new one. You can serve Malphus by spreading fear as it wishes, or you can serve it by containing its power, preventing it from growing stronger. That's not the same thing, Malphus roared. The deal specified service, not compliance, Uriel said calmly. They can serve you by being your prisoners, keeping your power locked away. How would that work? My grandfather asked. You would absorb and contain the fear it gathers. Every nightmare it creates would flow through you and be neutralized. You would suffer, but the world would be protected. For how long? I asked. Forever, she said. It won't be an easy existence. I looked at my grandfather. He nodded. We'll do it, I said. No! Malphus screamed. I reject this deal. You cannot, Uriel said. The original contract allows for any form of eternal service. Uriel raised her hand, and I felt a new transformation beginning. Instead of feeling powerful, I felt heavy, like I was becoming a living anchor. You will be linked together, Uriel explained. When one of you suffers, the other will share the burden. Malphus was shrinking now, its power being drawn into me and my grandfather like water down a drain. This isn't over, it said as it was pulled into some invisible prison. Perhaps, Uriel said, but until then, you are contained. When it was over, my apartment looked normal again. What happens now? I asked Uriel. Now you live, she said. You go back to your normal lives, but with a new purpose. You are guardians now. Will we see you again? When you need me most, she said. And Alex? Your mother knew more about your grandfather than she let on. Uriel faded away, leaving me alone with my grandfather. So what now? I asked him. Now we figure out how to live with this, he said. Every day we'll feel some of the fear that Malphus tries to spread, but we'll keep it from hurting innocent people. Are you okay with this? For the first time in 40 years, I'm proud of something I've done, he said. Over the next few days, I learned what our new existence meant. During the day, I felt mostly normal. I got my job back and returned to my routine. But at night, I could feel Malphus trying to escape its prison inside me. It was like having a wild animal trapped in my chest. The pain was constant, but manageable. And knowing that my suffering was protecting others made it bearable. 1 month later, I decided to visit my mother. "Alex," she said when she answered the door. "You look different. Older. More serious." I told her everything. The deal, the demon, the choice we'd made to protect the world. When I finished, she was crying. "I knew," she whispered. "I always knew he'd made some kind of deal. You were so sick as a baby, and then suddenly you were fine. Why didn't you tell me?" "Because I hoped it wasn't real, and because I was afraid." We talked for hours. She told me stories about my grandfather from before he became dark. He had been a good man once. "Maybe that's why Uriel was able to help us," I said. "Maybe there was still some good left in him." When I got home, my grandfather was waiting. "How did it go?" he asked. "Good. She knows the truth now." That night, the pain was worse than usual. Malphus was fighting harder to escape, but my grandfather was there, sharing the burden. Around 3 a.m., something changed. The pain stopped, replaced by a warm sensation. "What's happening?" I asked. "I don't know," my grandfather said, "but it feels good." Then I heard Uriel's voice, though I couldn't see her. "You have done well," she said. "Your sacrifice has been noted. Other guardians are being chosen. You will no longer bear this responsibility alone." Over the next few weeks, I started meeting other people like me, others who had made deals and been transformed by Uriel's intervention. Together, we were much stronger. My grandfather became more human with each passing month. The yellow glow faded from his eyes and his smile returned to normal. He even started visiting my mother. "I can't forgive what you did to my mother," she told him one day, "but I can see that you're trying to make up for it now." 6 months after our transformation, I was working at the grocery store when I felt a familiar presence. I turned around and saw Malphus, but it was different now. Smaller, weaker, almost transparent. "Hello, Alex," it said. Its voice was barely a whisper. "I thought you were contained." "I am, but I wanted to thank you." "Thank me?" "For showing me something I'd never seen before, true self-sacrifice. For the first time in centuries, I understand why humans think they're worth saving." "Are you still trying to escape?" "No," it said. "I've stopped fighting. The pain you endure to keep me contained, it's changed me. I don't want to cause that kind of suffering anymore." "What do you want now?" "To help, if you'll let me. I know things about other demons. I could guide you." Over the following months, Malphus became an unlikely ally. It warned us about other demons. It taught us techniques for containing supernatural threats. It helped us save people. "Do you regret any of this?" my grandfather asked me one evening. "No," I said. "I have a purpose now, friends. My life is weird, but it's good." "I feel the same way," he said. "I spent 40 years feeling useless and angry. Then 10 years feeling guilty and trapped. But now I feel free. Even though we're bound to a demon for eternity, especially because of that. We turned our curse into a blessing." A year has passed since that night when Malphus first appeared. My life is completely different now. I still work at the grocery store, but now I also work with other guardians to protect the city from supernatural threats. My relationship with my mother is stronger than ever, and Malphus has become something I never thought possible. A friend. It's still a demon, but it fights against its dark impulses now. Do you ever wonder what your life would have been like if I'd never made the deal? My grandfather asked me last week. Sometimes, I said, but I probably would have died as a baby, and even if I hadn't, I probably would have lived a boring, meaningless life. At least now I matter. We all matter, he said. Even demons can choose to be better. As I write this, it's almost 11:47 p.m. In a few minutes, the lights will flicker. But instead of fear, I feel anticipation. Every night brings new challenges, new people to protect. My grandfather died 10 years ago. But last night, I met his demon. And today, that demon is helping me save the world. Sometimes the worst things that happen to us turn out to be the best things. Sometimes being cursed is the same thing as being blessed. Sometimes the monsters we fear most are the ones who end up saving us. The lights just flickered. 1, 2, 3. It's time to get to work.